Welcome to the very first episode of Teardown 2018, which is a NASCAR analysis show that I'll be doing every week after Sunday's race or Saturday. But the number one topic of today is congratulating Austin Dillon on his Daytona 500 win last night. And also congrats to Ryan Blaney for winning stage 2 and Kurt Busch winning stage 1. And let's get into it. What do I think of the finish? Well, you're coming down to the last lap of the Daytona 500, and you have to think for yourself, how do I want to be perceived? And that knowing that this race, A, is the Daytona 500, and then 1A, you're gonna be able to clinch a spot into the playoffs. And this is where I kind of understand Austin Dillon. Because I think as Austin Dillon, you know that your team hasn't been really performing well, and you have to take advantage of what you can get. And that's where I can see Dillon as an opportunist. And I know a lot of racing fans think that Austin Dillon was spoon-fed everything, and I kind of agree. I agree with Kevin Harvick's statement years ago about how Richard Childress brought up Ty Dillon and Austin Dillon. But back to the matter at hand, this is the Daytona 500, and you see the block that Amarola tries to establish in that last lap. I'm like watching it right now, and you realize that Dillon could have either lifted or could have gone low. He would have help from Denny Hamlin because Buescher was coming through a little bit, and then they stalled out at the end of the straightaway. So I think that's why Dillon decided not to go low. But the problem is, for people who've been watching this sport for so long, I think the fact that he's driving the 3 as well, and the fact that it's 20 years from the day of Dale Earnhardt's win, is also playing a factor as well. Because you're driving the 3 car, and you're perceived as that's Dale Earnhardt's number. Nobody else should drive it, and he has that certain pressure. And I think this win kind of makes that statement that I belong in this 3 car. I won at Daytona. Anyway, for me, I can understand why he did it, and I can understand why he shouldn't do it. In my position, I think I would turn Amarola too. And like Amarola said, I think he understands the situation. But personally, I think there was an opportunity where he could have went more higher to the wall and swoop all the way down without really hitting his left bumper. And I just think the product of stage racing is another issue that we need to take care of throughout this whole race, especially stage 1. I think Jimmy Johnson's right. There's a quote that he gave out that was posted by NBC Sports that the drivers were not paying attention to the big picture. And he's kind of right, because I'm looking at that final top 10. We have Austin Dillon, Bubba, Hamlin, Logano, Chris Buescher, Blaney, Menard, Michael McDowell, and AJ Allmendinger. Only about, besides Austin Dillon, I see one, two, three, maybe at most three, maybe four drivers making into the playoffs this year based on that top 10. I really do think Hamlin, Logano, they're going to make it. Blaney, I see them making it as well. And I think Newman does have that chance because Phoenix is coming up. And yes, that Phoenix race was a strategy call, but I think there's still a good chance. But this Daytona race doesn't really kind of count in a way. Even though it counts on the board, it's not going to determine who's going to win the championship. It's not going to determine who's going to be good at the Atlanta race. It's going to determine who's there at the right time at Talladega and Daytona. That last lap caution involving Alex Bowman and all those other drivers like Gong, Harvick, and all of those other people. That's why restrictor plate racing doesn't really matter because there's no implications. The only implication for all four of those restrictor plate races is that A, you do get a win in the entering in the playoffs as long as you're not a repeat winner and bonus points. And point two, Talladega is in the chase playoffs. So that's why people are going to be more aggressive. But I believe stage racing, it's entertaining. Let's get this straight. It's entertaining, but the format is just hard to keep up with. And I think that's something that needs to be changed as soon as possible. At this moment, I think NASCAR is really just throwing all these ideas and seeing if it works for the casual fan. And I don't think that's going to work out because I have a feeling that Atlanta is going to be a more strung out race. I don't think we're going to see as much side by side racing. I could be wrong due to the surface and character of the track with all the bumps and bruises of Atlanta. But you can't compare Atlanta and Daytona. And should restrictor plate racing be fixed? I'm going to have to say no. Restrictor plate racing should not be tampered with. I don't mean that as like WWE fixed, like just fixing the product of fixing the product. I should we fix stage racing? I think we need to fix the stage racing because it creates that drama that's not necessary to the point where we see people wrecking, but for the driver, for the fan, I understand, but for the driver is kind of like because the driver needs to approach it differently, and the fan, they want to see excitement. So the thing is, there needs to be a balance between pleasing the fan and pleasing the driver. NASCAR, they listen to the fan, but the driver is to the fan still complains. Like the true NASCAR fan will complain about how things were produced in NASCAR. You can't keep complaining and look for change and see a change for NASCAR and complain about that again. You asked for something, you got it, but not the exact way you wanted it. And this Daytona race, I think this Daytona race has brought in new fans, but I don't think it's gonna be a lasting impression. I really think that there's no way to improve the racing besides actually making the cars look like the cars on the street, like back in like the 80s, the 70s, and those eras. I think that's something that NASCAR really needs to look into to bring back that grassroots feeling. And as a product, not just restrictor plate racing, as a product of restrictor plate racing, keep it. Keep it the way the racing is. But the product of NASCAR, we need to change the schedule. We need to change the schedule. We need to add more short tracks. I think if you want to entertain the casual fan, you need to put more short tracks. Keep Talladega, keep Daytona, keep the road courses, keep some mile and a halves, keep Atlanta, keep Charlotte. We don't need Chicagoland. We don't need Kansas. We don't need Kentucky. We need Iowa. We need Bowling Green Stadium. We need Irwindale Speedway. We need North Wilkes-Barre. We need Rockingham back. NASCAR can do that. If you build it, they will come. Trust me. Sorry for the Field of Dreams reference, but I really think we need to change the schedule because honestly, the the schedule for the half miles are just the racing, the product. It's too strung out, and the stage racing does help it, but it just bunches it back up, and then whoever has the fastest car can get away. Now, you can complain that it could be something with the car, but I believe we need to go back to short track racing to please the casual fan. It will please the casual fan, and it will please the longtime NASCAR fans that love the grassroots. And I think that's something that NASCAR needs to go back to. So overall, I think that Austin Dillon's move is questionable, but I understand why he did what he did. Second, NASCAR has a lot to do this next year and plus 2 years. These next 3 years are really crucial because their Monster Energy deal is not even a 10-year deal. I think it expires this year. So, where will NASCAR go? What brand of racing do they want to promote the following year? We are hearing rumors of a new Ford body next year, and Monster Energy might not be the title sponsor. And I think the branding of their main series, I really hope that the brand name of the main series will change because I want the brand to really focus on changing that schedule. And I think changing the schedule every so often will make the product of NASCAR more enjoyable, refreshing, and cater to both new fans and longtime fans. So, anyway, let's dig into the Atlanta race. Let's dig into the Atlanta race, and I'll predict who's gonna win. I'm gonna pick Jimmy Johnson. I believe the Camaro body and new nose is gonna be a huge factor this year for the Camaros, particularly for the Hendrick camp. I think Toyota will not be as dominant this year with Martin Truex Jr. I don't think they're going to do that this year. Um, but Jimmy Johnson is my pick to Atlanta. I just think he can wheel it. My dark horse, I gotta say Kyle Larson. I gotta say either Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott. I think Chase Elliott's more of a dark horse, so don't be surprised if Jimmy Johnson or Kyle Larson wins this race. So that's my picks for the Atlanta race Sunday. And congrats to Austin Dillon. I just think that I mentioned why I mentioned why and what needs to be done for the next few years down the road. And again, congrats to Michael McDowell and Chris Buescher for their top 10. Much appreciated. And Justin Marks, wow, a top 12. That's good for him for a small team. But guys, that's my analysis of the Daytona 500 and my picks for the Atlanta race this Sunday. Be sure to watch it. It's gonna be on your local Fox station. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little podcast. Much love to all you guys. Drew, thanks for editing this. I know you're gonna edit this pretty well. Uh, and yeah, y'all take it easy and have a wonderful day. Congrats to Austin. Y'all take it easy and have a wonderful day. Congrats to Austin Dillon, Daytona 500 champ. Can't take that away. Peace out, everybody.